Hey, shalom to the hopeful elect. First and foremost, I'd like to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone who teach the truth and rule well. This is Brother Yatab Yahweh Allah coming back from the GMS SF Bay Area camp. And I got a quick lesson today. All right, actually in transit, on the way to camp. And Lord's will is edifying. Just going into the topic of World War III. All right, and if you're familiar with what's going on, you got Israel and Iran going back and forth. All right, you got America heavily involved with, aiding them militarily. All right, there's talks of U.S. sending B-2 bombers there and aircraft carriers. All right, which, again, the MOTB is not here yet, so we know it's not going to fully pop off yet. But, it shows you, where things are heading. All right, it shows you that it's close. All right, things are just going to ramp up from here. But, one thing I wanted to focus on is, you can see, or everybody can pretty much see now that, America is the number one ally of those small hats over there, that nation, all right, that government of Israel. All right, those Israelis. And, you can see how, which I'm going to get in Jeremiah the 50th chapter, these Israelis, all right, they're going to pull America into this war. They're already, you can see how they're already heavily involved. All right. And then, on the flip side, we know Iran and all those other countries, they have their allies, all right, which the main ally being what? Russia. All right. And, this is going to pop off into World War III. But let me start with this. This is Jeremiah 50 and 45. It says, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, that he hath taken against Babylon." All right. Who's the modern day Babylon? America. Okay. It says, "And his purpose is that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out." And who is the least of the flock? All right. It's that little nation state Israel, with those Amalekites over there. All right. That's who this little flock is talking about. It's not talking about anybody else. All right. And if anybody else says otherwise, it's a false prophet, it's a false teacher. They don't have the true understanding. We're literally seeing how this is going to happen right before our eyes. All right. Again, with America helping Israel, getting ready to jump in there, at a moment's notice. Because what? That's prophecy. All right. It says, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out." What does that mean? Israel, the nation state, is going to draw America into this third world war. All right. Wait, let me jump over here real quick, and I'll jump back to Revelation 11 and 14, because, contrary to what anybody tells you, all right, contrary to what, these pundits, the propaganda says, hey, there's going to be a world war. All right. And it's going to pop off in that Middle Eastern region. This is Revelation 11 and 14. And it says, "The second woe is past." The second woe pertaining to World War II. It says, "And behold, the third woe cometh quickly." And the third woe is talking about what? The third World War. All right. World War III. It's coming quickly. All right. So again, when we jump back to Jeremiah 50 and 45, it says what? It says, jumping down, "Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out." Draw them out into what? That third woe. It says, "Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." Because again, what's coming in this third world war? All right. Ultimate nuclear destruction. All right. This land over here in America is going to be utterly destroyed. All right. The Lord has put it into the minds of these kings, or he's going to put it into the minds of these kings via prophecy to destroy this place. All right. The scriptures say, "All ye that bend the bow," meaning all that have nuclear capabilities, are going to destroy this place. And you can see it. All right. A lot of these nations are angry. A lot of these nations, are have finicky ties, even though they're supposed allies. All right, it won't matter. And that day, the Lord's will is going to be accomplished. And what is the Lord's will? All those who bend the bow are going to have a part in destroying this place. All right? It's going to be made utterly desolate. That's that lake of fire. That's the second death. Okay? Verse 46, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved and the cry is heard among the nations. All right? And this is going to be an event to like no other, like the scriptures say. All right, now let me jump over here to Joel. Like I said, it's not gonna be too long. Joel 3 and verse 9. All right, and it says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Okay, prepare war. Okay, hey, this is what's happening. The Lord he's having these little skirmishes go back and forth. You still have the thing going on in Russia and Ukraine. All right. You still got things, bubbling up, Taiwan and China. You got North Korea talking that mess. All right. But all these nations, what they're preparing for war, they're putting more money into their military budgets. All right. Because what? All these nations know that war is imminent. All right. It says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. And again, hey, this is the Lord's will. All right, no matter what, the people want to do, you want to protest, which that goes into prophecy as well. But you want to protest against your government, you want to make certain moves. Hey, the Lord is with this war. All right, it says prepare war, wake up the mighty men. And you have those Amalekites along with the America. They keep pushing that old ancient those ancient warriors, the Persians. All right, that's an ancient nation, Iran. Those are the Persians. If we read about it in the scriptures, that was a mighty empire. They had a big army. All right, hey, they're fully capable of fighting. And what? The Lord's going to put it in their spirit to do so. It says, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I'm strong. And again, this is what you see going on. All right, these nations putting more into their military budget. These nations buying off, different missile defense systems, different missiles. All right, Iran, case in point, building up their nuclear arsenal, or trying to at least. All right, America's even putting more money into their military budget. But again, it's going to be a big war. It says, let the weak say I'm strong. Hey, again, Iran, that's in modern times, it's a little nation. All right, they didn't even have nukes, but hey, supposedly they have enough for atomic bombs. All right, but hey, hey, they could very well have nuclear bombs as well. Okay, a so-called weak nation. It says, assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Yahweh-Shaphat, which again is this Middle Eastern region. For there will where I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, is near in the valley of decision. All right, and again, this is what's coming. All right, you can see this playing out. All right, of course, the MOTB has to be implemented, but hey, what's going on behind scenes? As you have these little skirmishes going on with Iran and Israel, taking all the attention, you got certain bills being passed. I believe it was called the Genius Act. All right, or it's being pushed through the House, I think, right now. It passed Senate, and it's being pushed through one of those. It passed Congress. Whatever the case may be, it has to pass one more round, and then Trump has to sign it, which goes into the MOTB system. You got that big beautiful bill. You got a lot of bills being passed right now to further implement that infrastructure for the MOTB. Okay, and all it takes, like Esau says, is one false flag. All right, what do they say? Let no crisis go to waste, roughly paraphrasing. Okay? That's all it takes. And they can shut shit down. All right? They can have the wars pop off. And Yahushua can make his return just that fast. All right? But again, this is what we're seeing. We're seeing, things heat up more and more. And again, if anything, Jeremiah the 50th chapter, like I just read, you can see how Israel, all right, that nation state is going to pull America into this war. All right? America is bought and paid for by the small hats. Okay? Whether it's red, whether it's blue, all right, whether it's Trump, Biden, Kamala, it don't matter. They're all bought and paid for by what? By the small hats. All right, they run things. They run America. And if they want America to come in, America will come in. All right? But yeah, I just wanted to hit that quick point. All right? Hey, the least of the flock being Amalek, being that nation state, Israel is going to pull America into this third world war. All right? And you can see how that's going to play out. Okay? But yeah, Lord's will, this is edifying. Once again, I want to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rachakodash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders at Great Millstone. Shalom to the elect and above all.